I'm Mariam Namazi in Doha. The main stories on Al Jazeera. A high-level delegation from the European Union has wrapped up a rare trip to Zimbabwe, saying relations are entering a new phase. It's the first such visit for 7 years. Officials said targeted sanctions would not be lifted until human rights abuses ended. And full cooperation would hinge on the implementation of a power-sharing deal. Hara Mutasa is in Harare.
On the ground, some things in Zimbabwe seem to be working, but tensions within the inclusive government threaten to derail progress. If the country hopes to raise the money it needs, both President Mugabe and Prime Minister Tsvangirai need to convince Western nations that they can resolve their differences soon.
The U.S. could soon allow the hundreds of prisoners being held at Afghanistan's BAGRAM airbase to challenge their detention. An estimated 600 prisoners are currently being held at the prison. Under the new guidelines, each detainee will reportedly be assigned a U.S. military official to represent his interests and examine evidence against him. James Bays is in Kabul, and he says concerns about Bagram prison surfaced during the recent election campaign.
Hamid Karzai, in the days before the election, said he was deeply unhappy with the idea that you have Afghans in a jail run by foreigners here in his country, Afghanistan, and he wanted that situation changed. I think the Americans know there'll be pressure coming from President Karzai if he's re-elected, and also pressure coming from another quarter. For the first time in the days before the election, the UN Special Representative here in Afghanistan, Kai Ide, asked to go and see Bagram. He said he wanted to see the facility for himself, and I think those are two possible reasons why the Americans now are trying to make the situation in Bagram more transparent to the international community, to the world at large.
The once thriving date industry in Iraq is in disarray. Iraq was the world's biggest producer of dates in the 70s and the 80s. But now, after years of war and drought, thousands of hectares of land that was once used to grow dates is slowly being reclaimed by the desert. Factories that were once busy are now abandoned and rusting. Well, remember, you can find the latest on all those stories and more at aljazeera.net/English.